Captain Marcus Reed stared at the holographic display floating above his desk, watching the alien warship's elegant curves rotate slowly in the blue light. 3 months ago, he'd been leading routine patrols along the Outer Rim colonies. Now, he was humanity's chosen representative in something called the Galactic Combat Championship, a tradition he barely understood. "You look troubled, Captain Reed." The voice belonged to Ambassador Nix Villoria, who had appeared in his doorway without making a sound. Her skin held a subtle luminescence that reminded Marcus of moonlight on water, and her silver hair moved as if touched by an invisible breeze. She wore the flowing robes of her diplomatic station, but something in her violet eyes suggested she was far more than a simple negotiator. "Just reviewing the mission parameters," Marcus replied, gesturing to the display. "Your people certainly know how to build impressive ships." Nix stepped into the room, her movements fluid and graceful. "The Zarian Empire values beauty in all things, Captain. Our ships, our art, our warriors." She paused, studying him with those penetrating eyes. "Tell me, do humans value beauty?" The question caught Marcus off guard. In his 42 years, he'd seen plenty of beautiful things destroyed by war, politics, and simple human nature. "We appreciate it when we can afford to," he said carefully. An honest answer. Nix moved closer, and Marcus caught the scent of something like jasmine mixed with ozone. "Your species fascinates me, Captain. You're so young, yet you've accomplished so much. Most civilizations take millennia to develop faster than light travel. Humans achieved it in mere centuries. We're in a hurry, I guess." Marcus turned off the display and faced her fully. "Ambassador, can you tell me more about this championship?" The briefing materials were somewhat vague. Nix's expression grew serious. "The championship is ancient, Captain. It determines not just military prowess, but the right to negotiate trade agreements, territorial boundaries, even marriage alliances between species. The winner's civilization gains significant influence in the galactic community. And if I lose, then humanity remains in the periphery, trading with minor species for basic resources." She moved to the viewport, gazing out at the stars streaming past. "But there's something else you should know about your opponent." Marcus waited, sensing the weight of unspoken words. "Her name is Kestra Voidborn. She's the current champion, undefeated in over 200 battles. She's also made a rather remarkable proclamation." Nix turned back to him, her expression unreadable. "She has sworn that if any human ever defeats her in single combat, she will surrender her heart to them." Surrender her heart? Marcus felt heat rise in his chest. "You mean as a trophy?" "No, Captain." Nix's voice carried a note of something that might have been jealousy. "She means she will bind herself to them in marriage, according to her people's customs. It's considered the ultimate honor among her kind." Marcus sank into his chair, processing this information. "So I'm not just fighting for Earth's place in the galaxy. I'm potentially walking into an arranged marriage with an alien warrior." "That's correct." Nix stepped closer, close enough that he could see the flecks of gold in her violet eyes. "Does the prospect frighten you, Captain? Should it? Kestra is beautiful, powerful, and has never known defeat. Many would consider such a fate a blessing." Nix's hand brushed against his shoulder, the contact sending an unexpected jolt through him. "But beauty can be deceiving, and power can corrupt. Sometimes the greatest victories come from the most unexpected sources." Marcus looked up at her, suddenly aware of the tension crackling between them. "What would you advise, Ambassador?" "Fight with honor, Captain. Win with wisdom. And remember that the heart wants what the heart wants, regardless of duty or tradition." Her hand lingered on his shoulder for a moment longer before she stepped back. "Your ship will arrive at Zarian Prime. In 6 hours, I suggest you rest." As she moved toward the door, Marcus called out, "Nix, She paused, glancing back at him. "Thank you for the warning." She smiled, and for a moment, her composed diplomatic mask slipped, revealing something warmer underneath. "You're welcome, Marcus. May fortune favor you in the arena." After she left, Marcus sat alone in his quarters, staring out at the stars, and wondering what he'd gotten himself into. Somewhere out there, an undefeated alien warrior waited to test his skills and possibly claim his heart. And somewhere much closer, a mysterious ambassador had just made his mission infinitely more complicated. Asterisk, the arena on Zerion Prime defied human comprehension. Crystalline walls stretched toward a dome of pure energy that filtered the light of 3 suns into rainbow. Patterns across the sand. Thousands of beings from dozens of species filled the tiered seating, their voices creating a symphony of anticipation in languages Marcus couldn't identify. But his attention was fixed on the figure emerging from the champion's gate. Kestra Voidborn, moved like liquid death-given form. She stood nearly 7 feet tall, her body a sculpture of lean muscle and graceful power. Her skin was pale as starlight, marked with intricate tattoos that seemed to shift and flow as she moved. Long black hair was braided with silver threads and small crystals that chimed softly with each step. She wore minimal armor, just enough to be modest while leaving her arms and legs free for combat. "Behold!" Her voice carried across the arena without amplification, rich and commanding. "I am Kestra Voidborn, daughter of the Void, slayer of champions, undefeated in 237 battles." The crowd erupted in appreciation. Marcus watched from the preparation chamber as she raised her weapons, twin curved blades that seemed to be extensions of her own body. "And I make this oath before all assembled," Kestra continued, her voice carrying over the cheers. "If any human warrior can defeat me in honorable combat, I will surrender not just my title, but my heart. I will bind myself to them in marriage, as is the ancient way." Laughter rippled through the crowd. Someone shouted something in Zerion dialect that made others laugh harder. Marcus didn't need a translation to understand the sentiment. The idea of a human defeating their champion was considered amusing. "Nervous?" Nyx appeared beside him, her diplomatic robes replaced by something more practical but equally elegant. She'd volunteered to serve as his second, a role that allowed her to provide advice between rounds. Should I be? Marcus tested. The weight of his sword, a simple steel blade that looked primitive compared to the exotic weapons he'd seen other fighters carry. "Kestra has never been seriously challenged," Nyx said, watching the champion perform an elaborate kata that drew gasps from the crowd. "She's faster than most species, stronger than most humans, and her weapons are forged from void steel. They can cut through almost anything. You're really building my confidence here." Nyx turned to face him, her expression serious. "Marcus, I need to tell you something." Kestra's proclamation about surrendering her heart, it's not just bravado. In Zerion culture, such oaths are binding. If you defeat her, she will genuinely belong to you. And if I don't want that, then you'll have gravely insulted her and her entire bloodline. Nyx's hand found his arm. "But there's something else. Kestra isn't just making this offer to any human. She's been watching Earth for months, studying our species. She chose to make this proclamation after seeing footage of human warriors in action." Marcus felt a chill run down his spine. "She's been planning this." "I believe so. The question is why." Nyx's fingers tightened on his arm. "Be careful, Marcus. Kestra is brilliant as well as deadly. Nothing she does is without purpose." The horn sounded, calling the combatants to the arena floor. Marcus checked his gear, one final time sword, shield, and the lightweight armor that was all Earth's technology could provide. It seemed inadequate against what awaited him. "Marcus?" Nyx's voice was softer now, almost vulnerable. When this is over, regardless of the outcome, I want you to know that I— Save it for after, he interrupted gently. I need to focus. She nodded, stepping back. Fight well, Captain. Earth is counting on you. Marcus walked onto the arena. Floor, sand crunching beneath his boots. The crowd's noise faded to a distant roar as he approached the center circle where Kestra waited. Up close, she was even more impressive and more beautiful. Her eyes were the color of deep space, flecked with silver like distant stars. So, she said, her voice carrying easily in the sudden quiet, you're the human who thinks he can claim my heart. I'm the human who's going to try not to embarrass his species, Marcus replied. Kestra laughed, a sound like silver bells. Modest, I like that. Most warriors who face me spend their time boasting about their prowess. She spun her blades casually, the void steel leaving trails of dark energy in the air. Tell me, human, what makes you think you can succeed where so many others have failed? Marcus drew his sword, the simple steel catching the filtered sunlight. I don't think I can succeed. I know I have to try. Honor before logic. Yes, I can see why your species has survived so long. Kestra settled into a fighting stance. Her blades weaving hypnotic patterns. Very well, Marcus Reed of Earth. Let us see if your heart is as strong as your sword. The arena judge raised his staff, and Marcus felt the weight of millions of eyes upon him. Somewhere in the crowd, Nyx was. Watching. Somewhere far away, Earth waited for news of his fate. Begin. The judge commanded. Kestra moved. Kestra's first strike would have decapitated a lesser warrior. Marcus wasn't there when the blade arrived, having rolled left and come up in a defensive crouch. The void steel hung through the air where his head had been, leaving a trail of dark energy that made his eyes water. Fast, Kestra acknowledged, spinning to face him. But speed alone won't save you. She came at him again, both blades moving in perfect synchronization. Marcus gave ground, deflecting what he could and avoiding what he couldn't. Her weapons were faster than anything he'd ever faced, and each parry sent shockwaves up his arms. The crowd was on its feet now, their cheers reaching a crescendo as their champion pressed her advantage. But Marcus had fought worse odds before. During the Centauri uprising, he'd held a position against 50 rebels with nothing but a sidearm and determination. On Kepler 442b, he'd led a squad through a forest full of predators that could camouflage themselves as trees. He'd learned that sometimes the best strategy was to let your opponent think they were winning. You're skilled, Kestra said, breathing hard as she paused between attacks. But you're only delaying the inevitable. Maybe, Marcus circled her, keeping his guard up. Or maybe I'm learning. Her eyes flashed with something that might have been respect. Learning what? That you favor your left side when you're confident. That you drop your guard slightly when you spin. That you're holding back because you don't want to kill me too quickly. He smiled grimly. And that you're enjoying this more than you expected. Kestra's expression shifted, surprise flickering across her features. You're analyzing me. I'm appreciating you. There's a difference. Marcus adjusted his stance, moving from pure defense to something more aggressive. You're magnificent, Kestra. But you're also predictable. Predictable? Her voice carried a dangerous edge. You've been champion for so long, you've forgotten what it's like to face someone who isn't afraid of you. Marcus stepped forward, his sword moving in a simple, direct thrust. You've been playing with me. Now let me show you what happens when a human stops playing. The change in his fighting style caught her off guard. Where before he'd been reactive, now he was aggressive. Where he'd been defensive, now he was calculating. His attacks were economical, precise, designed not to overpower, but to create openings. And it was working. Kestra found herself giving ground for the first time in decades. This human fought like no one she'd ever faced, not with brute strength. or exotic techniques, but with a combination of intelligence and determination that was uniquely his own. Impossible, she breathed, blocking a strike that came dangerously close to her throat. Not impossible, Marcus replied, pressing his advantage. Just unexpected. Their blades met in a shower of sparks, and suddenly they were close enough that he could smell the scent of her skin, something like starlight and winter air. For a moment, they stood locked together, weapons crossed, breathing hard. "You're not what I expected," Kestra said softly. "Neither are you." Marcus looked into her eyes, seeing something there he hadn't noticed before. "This isn't about the championship, is it?" "No." Her voice was barely a whisper. "It's about finding someone worthy of the gift I'm offering." They broke apart, circling each other again. But something had changed. The crowd sensed it too, falling silent as they watched the two warriors regard each other with new understanding. "The heart you're offering," Marcus said. "It's not a prize to be won. It's a treasure to be earned." "Yes." Kestra's grip shifted on her weapons. "And you're the first person to understand that." In the stands, Nyx watched with growing comprehension, and something that felt dangerously like jealousy. She'd seen Marcus fight before, but never like this. Never with such perfect understanding of his opponent's needs and desires. The final exchange came suddenly. Kestra launched herself forward in a spinning attack that should have been impossible to counter. But Marcus had been watching, learning, waiting. He stepped inside her guard, caught her wrist, and used her own momentum to sweep her feet from under her. She hit the sand hard, her weapons flying from her hands. Marcus's sword point came to rest against her throat, his other hand extended to help her up. "Do you yield?" he asked gently. Kestra stared up at him, her chest rising and falling rapidly. The arena was dead silent, waiting for her response. "I yield," she said, her voice carrying clearly across the sand. "And I honor my oath." Marcus helped her to her feet, and suddenly she was in his arms, her face tilted up toward his. The kiss was inevitable, electric, witnessed by thousands, and yet somehow perfectly private. "My heart is yours," she whispered against his lips. "If you'll have it." "Kestra," Marcus began, but she placed a finger against his lips. "Don't answer now. Tonight, when we're alone, you can tell me what you've decided." She stepped back, raising his hand to acknowledge the stunned crowd. "For now, celebrate your victory. You've earned it." As the arena erupted in confused cheers and angry protests, Marcus caught sight of Nyx in the stands. Her expression was unreadable, but he could see the tension in her shoulders, the way her hands clenched at her sides. He'd won the championship. He'd secured Earth's place in the galactic community. But somehow, he suspected his real challenges were just beginning. The celebration feast in the great hall of Xerion Prime was a spectacle of alien grandeur. Beings from dozens of worlds had gathered to witness the aftermath of the most shocking upset in championship history. Marcus sat at the high table, still, wearing his simple Earth armor, while around him the nobility of the galaxy made their calculations and adjusted their political positions. "You look overwhelmed," Kestra said, settling beside him. She'd changed from her battle gear into a flowing gown that seemed to be cut from captured starlight. Her hair was loose now, falling in waves around her shoulders, and Marcus found it difficult to concentrate on anything else. "I keep expecting someone to tell me this is all a mistake," he admitted. "That there's been some kind of clerical error, and I need to give back the championship. There's no mistake." Kestra's hand found his beneath the table, her fingers interlacing with his. "You fought with honor and intelligence. You earned this victory. And you?" Marcus turned to face her fully. "No regrets about your oath?" Kestra's smile was radiant. "None. I've been waiting my entire life for someone who could see past the legend to the woman beneath. You did that from the moment we first locked blades." I saw someone who was tired of being alone, Marcus said quietly. Someone who'd been strong for so long, she'd forgotten what it felt like to be vulnerable. And now? Her grip tightened on his hand. Now I see someone beautiful and dangerous and absolutely terrifying. Marcus lifted their joined hands, pressing. A kiss to her knuckles. Someone I'd like to know better. Ambassador Veloria approaches, Kestra murmured, her eyes tracking movement across the hall. She doesn't look pleased. Marcus turned to see Nyx making her way through the crowd, her diplomatic smile firmly in place, but something darker flickering in her violet eyes. She wore formal robes of deep blue that complemented her luminescent skin, and every step was measured and graceful. Captain Reed, she said as she reached their table, congratulations on your victory. Earth owes you a tremendous debt. Thank you, Ambassador. Marcus tried to read her expression, but Nyx's diplomatic training was too. Good. I trust the formal negotiations will proceed smoothly now? Oh, I'm sure they will. Nyx's gaze flicked to Kestra, then back to Marcus. I wonder if I might have a word with you privately. There are some matters we need to discuss regarding your new status. Kestra's hand tensed in his. Surely any matters concerning my intended husband can be discussed openly? Your intended husband? Nyx's composure cracked slightly. Captain, surely you're not seriously considering. The oath is binding. Kestra interrupted, her voice carrying a warning. What was sworn in the arena cannot be undone by political convenience. I wasn't suggesting it should be. Nyx's smile was sharp enough to cut glass. I was merely wondering if the captain has considered all the implications of accepting such. A commitment. Marcus felt the tension crackling between the two women and realized he was standing at the center of a storm he hadn't seen coming. What implications? Your duties to Earth, for one. Nyx moved closer, her scent filling his nostrils. You have a career, a life, people who depend on you. Are you prepared to abandon all of that for a stranger you met in combat? I'm not a stranger, Kestra said coolly. I'm the woman who's offered him her heart. You're the woman who made a public oath to enhance her own reputation, Nyx countered. Tell me, champion, how many others have you made such promises to? Kestra stood, slowly, her hand moving to where her weapons would normally rest. Careful, Ambassador. You're walking very close to the edge of something dangerous. Ladies, Marcus intervened, rising to his feet. Perhaps we should. No. Nyx's mask finally slipped completely, revealing the pain beneath. Captain, I need to tell you something. I've been watching you for months, not just as a diplomat, but as a woman. I've seen your courage, your compassion, your unwavering dedication to protecting those who can't protect themselves. She stopped, her breath catching. NYX, Marcus said gently. I've fallen in love with you, she continued, her voice barely above a whisper. I know I have no right to ask, no claim on your heart, but I couldn't let you make this decision without knowing that there are other options, other hearts that beat for you. The great hall seemed to fade around them, the celebration becoming distant background noise. Marcus looked between the two. Women Kestra, beautiful and deadly, and offering him a life of adventure and passion. Nyx, elegant and mysterious, and offering him something deeper and more complex. I need some air, he said finally. Both women watched as he walked away, neither following, but both clearly wanting to. Marcus made his way to one of the balconies that overlooked the crystalline city, grateful for the cool night air and the sea. Chance to think? Complicated evening? The voice belonged to an elderly Zarian noble Marcus had been introduced to earlier. Lord Vaxon, if he remembered correctly. You could say that. May I offer some advice? The old alien joined him at the railing, his weathered features kind. I've lived through 3 centuries and 4 wives. I've learned that the heart rarely chooses the logical path. What would you do? I'd ask myself which woman I dreamed about. When I closed my eyes, which one made me want to be a better man? Which one I'd fight to protect, even if it meant losing everything else? Lord Vaxon smiled. And then I'd have the courage to follow that answer, wherever it led. Marcus nodded slowly. Thank you. The choice you make tonight will echo through the stars, young human. Choose wisely, but choose with your heart. As the old noble walked away, Marcus stared up at the alien constellations and tried to untangle the knot of emotions in his chest. Somewhere behind him, two remarkable women waited for his decision. Somewhere far away, Earth waited for news of its champion's fate. But for now, he was alone with the stars and the weight of a choice that would change everything. The private garden where Marcus found himself at dawn was a marvel of Xerion engineering. Crystal trees chimed softly in the morning breeze, their branches heavy with flowers that glowed like captured stars. A small stream wound through the space, its waters singing with an otherworldly melody that should have been soothing, but only added to his restlessness. He'd been walking for hours, trying to sort through the tangle of emotions and obligations that had become his life. The choice between Kestra and Nyx wasn't just personal. It would affect Earth's relationship with the galactic community, the balance of power between species, and the lives of billions of people. I thought I might find you here. Nyx appeared. At the garden's entrance, her diplomatic robes replaced by a simple dress that somehow made her seem more approachable. You always were one to seek solitude when faced with difficult decisions. How did you know that about me? I've been studying you for months, remember? She moved closer, her footsteps silent on the crystal paths. Your psychological profile, your service records, your personal habits. I know you prefer tea to coffee, that you read ancient Earth literature when you're stressed, and that you have a scar on your left shoulder from a training accident when you were 23. Marcus touched the scar reflexively. Thorough. I had to be. Earth's future depended on sending the right person to represent us. Nyx stopped just out of arm's reach, her violet eyes searching his face. I just didn't expect to fall in love with him. And why X? Let me finish. She raised a hand, her composure wavering. I know what I'm asking is selfish. Kestra offered you her heart publicly, dramatically, in front of thousands of witnesses. I'm offering you mine quietly, privately, with no fanfare or ceremony. I can't compete with the romance of a warrior's oath. This isn't a competition, isn't it? Nyx's laugh was bitter. We're both offering you love, Marcus. We're both asking you to choose. How is that not a competition? Before Marcus could answer, another voice cut through the garden's tranquility. Because love can't be won or lost. It can only be given and received. Kestra emerged from behind a cluster of crystal trees, her movement silent and graceful. She wore simple training clothes, and Marcus realized she'd been practicing her forms in the garden's hidden alcoves. Champion, Nyx said carefully, I didn't realize you were here. I come here every morning to center myself. Kestra's gaze moved between them. Today I found myself thinking about choices and obligations, and the difference between what we want and what we need. And what conclusion did you reach? Marcus asked. That I've been selfish. Kestra moved closer, her expression serious. I made my oath in the heat of battle, caught up in the moment and the drama. I didn't consider what it would mean for you. To honor it, you offered me your heart, Marcus said. That's not selfish. Yes, it is. Kestra's smile was sad. I offered you a life bound by duty and tradition. I asked you to accept a marriage based on an oath made in combat. I never asked if that's what you wanted. What are you saying? I'm saying that love should be a choice, not an obligation. Kestra stepped back, her hands clasped behind her back. I release you from my oath, Marcus read. You're free to choose your own path. Kestra. No. Her voice was firm. I've spent my life taking what I wanted through strength and skill. For once, I want to do the right thing instead of the easy thing. Nyx stared at her in shock. You're releasing him from the marriage bond? I'm giving him the freedom to choose. Kestra's eyes met Marcus's. If he chooses me, I want it to be because he loves me, not because honor demands it. And if he chooses you, Ambassador, I'll accept that decision with grace. The garden fell silent, except for the musical tinkling of the crystal trees. Marcus looked between the two women, both of whom had just offered him something precious and irreplaceable. You're both remarkable, he said finally. Kestra, your strength and passion inspire me. Nyx, your intelligence and compassion move me. Any man would be honored to be loved by either of you. But, Nyx prompted, her voice barely audible. But I've realized something over the past few hours. Marcus took a deep breath. I've spent my entire adult life in service to others. Protecting colonies, following orders, putting duty before personal desires. I've never allowed myself to simply follow my heart. And what does your heart tell you? Kestra asked. Marcus closed his eyes, remembering Lord Vaxon's words about dreams and choices. When he opened them again, his decision was clear. It tells me that love isn't about choosing between two wonderful options. It's about recognizing when someone completes you in ways you never expected. He moved toward Nyx, taking her hands in his. I dreamed about you last night. I've been dreaming about you for weeks. You challenge me, frustrate me, and make me want to be better than I am. Nyx's breath caught. Marcus, I love you, he said simply. I love your mind, your strength, your compassion. I love the way you see possibilities where others see problems. I love the way you make me feel like I'm home, even when we're surrounded by aliens and impossibilities. Tears sparkled in Nyx's eyes as she smiled. I love you too, more than I ever thought possible. Marcus turned to Kestra, whose expression was composed, but not without pain. I'm sorry. Don't be. Kestra's smile was genuine. She's worthy of you, and you're worthy of her. That's all that matters. What will you do now? Nyx asked. Return to my people. Train new champions. Perhaps someday find love that's freely given rather than won in combat. Kestra moved toward the garden's exit, then paused. Take care of him, Ambassador. He's more precious than he knows. I will. As Kestra disappeared into the crystal city, Marcus pulled Nyx into his arms. The kiss was soft, tender, full of promise for the future they would build together. So, Nyx murmured against his lips. What happens now? Now we go home, Marcus said. We help Earth take its place in the galactic community. We build something beautiful together. And if the Council objects to our relationship, then we'll face that together too. Marcus smiled, feeling lighter than he had in years. After all, I just defeated the undefeated champion. How hard can a bunch of politicians be? Nyx laughed, and the sound was like music in the crystal garden. You have no idea what you've gotten yourself into, do you? None at all, Marcus. Admitted, but I'm looking forward to finding out. Hand in hand, they walked back toward the city, ready to face whatever challenges awaited them. Behind them, the crystal trees chimed their approval, and somewhere in the distance, a new day was beginning.